This is Tainted Grail, the Fall of Avalon. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So this is an interesting adventure where it's basically a bit of a King Arthur's-like thing going on, where you are basically breaking out of this jail scenario and then finding yourselves out into the open lands, where all kinds of crazy, mystical, and exciting things will happen as you attempt to make your way in this world and understand what exactly is happening and where you fit into everything. It's quite neat. It's sort of a Elder Scrolls-like experience. I've been playing a bit of it on the PlayStation side of things, and I got the opportunity to take a look at it on the Xbox side of things, which I thought I would do. So you can actually change perspectives too, which is kind of funny. I was like, oh, okay, perspective changing, cool. But yeah, it's very much something to me that is reminiscent of an Elder Scrolls game, which is really, really cool. And it's got a lot of like charm and weirdness to it, and some fun surprises, and just really, really weird situations as you kind of build up your character and tackle the various challenges you come across as you attempt to survive within this environment. You make lots of choices, you know, full role-playing, like you kind of build up your characters. The story, actually, the narrative is pretty witty. There's a lot of intensive dialogue and just quite a lot of things to see and quite a lot of things to do in this game. It's actually quite entertaining and very interesting with some of the little mechanics in this. So, like, for instance, you can, like, mine and dig up, like, chests and stuff. And this is kind of cool because it's a good little opening that basically introduces you to kind of the mechanics and the gameplay and some of the things you can do in this game. And it's just quite a bit of fun, honestly. Like, it's a very, very neat experience. It's actually pretty expansive, and when you get out there into the large open world, there's actually quite a lot to see and do. So we're just going to create a save there. It's also photo mode. Kind of cool, got some different poses. Shame you can't change the facial expression, because I always find that funny, but yeah, so this game's actually, to me, kind of neat. Like, you can also very much change your, like, class setups, so you can basically be like, oh, I want to be, say, someone that's like a mage, you know, swords, all kinds of different options for kind of attacking and building up your character, managing health, managing mana, eating food, questing, and then also some dynamics in how you do quests and how you approach them. Again, a very, to me, Elder Scrolls-esque approach to this game that I think you will find be quite enjoyable if you play that sort of a game. Wait, there's somebody in here? Oh, it's just a corpse. For a second there, I thought it was, you know, friendly face, but no. There's all kinds of little fun stuff in this if you look around and search for things and kind of go a little bit off the beaten path. You're not necessarily going to be sure what you'll come across. Like, there is a lot of funny little weird things to this one. So, from a technical standpoint, this game is quite interesting, as it actually gives you a bunch of visual settings. I think we'll go back into the better lit area for this. So, like, I was playing this ahead of launch on the PlayStation 5 Pro, and it was kind of locked. And it seems like with a 1.0, we get a few different things. So by default, this game is at the 1440p, but you can go down to 1080p, or you can go up to 4K, which is what I did. And then you've got a few different visual options and frame rates to match those options, where largely it's 60 FPS targeting, but then you can choose to kind of uncap things, as say if you want to turn off, I guess, the VSync, so you'll get some smoother options. It's basically whether you want to sacrifice sort of the fluidity of your experience for a larger, better resolution quality, or you want to go a little bit lower, it's kind of fine at the 1440p mark, I would say. I would say if you're doing 4K with the uncapped, as in, like, you know, the VSync off, it's not necessarily a bad way to try, but I think by default they've got a pretty good balance setting here, and there's FOV options and then some other settings, I guess, too. Yeah, and then there's a disable copyright music, which I turned on. It's nice that that exists, and then you can choose your autosave frequencies, your third-person camera distance, which would be your third-person FOV, and which perspective you want, first or third by default. And then some accessibility options, and yeah, pretty straightforward. Like, it's actually a pretty neat experience. So, yeah, definitely something I'm actually kind of saying is really neat. There's certainly some quirks to it, as to say. There's certainly some weird bits, but yeah, it's quite interesting. The combat is also fascinating too, because like at times I found the combat like sort of cumbersome to a degree, but it's more if you stand almost perfectly still and fight without much movement, like, or lightly move around, it's a lot easier to hit your target. Whereas I would do big lunges while moving and attack, like basically sprinting at enemies, and it seems like it wouldn't lock on at all. Maybe something for them to work on is just the lock on for doing, like, moving and attacking an enemy, but, like, yeah, other than that, when you're kind of stationary, you're moving side to side, it's actually quite a dynamic sort of battle. And like I said, I actually quite like this game. I find it very interesting. I like the... Like, some people might find the dialogue to be a lot, but I actually find it's part of a very filled sort of thing. Like, you could sit there and actually, like, fully talk to characters, and they have pretty well fleshed out discussion points, which I found quite interesting. Like, a lot of games that do role-playing, it's like, oh, you know, you can say X amount of things back and forth, whereas this one actually really does seem to genuinely have deep levels of conversational bits between the characters, and I found that to be really, really interesting. So it's a mature first-person open-world RPG, or at least first-person focused, obviously. I was showing multiple perspectives there. Huh. Kind of makes me want to revisit this on the PS5 Pro after the day one launch or whatever, which is interesting, because it's like I didn't have these visual settings. It was kind of locked before launch, and this definitely looks a lot sharper visually than what I got on PlayStation 5 Pro. So I don't know if that's because it was locked or what, but kind of a weird launch thing, because there was a lot of, like, bug fixes going on behind the scenes, which is a totally natural part of game development, like, honestly, and they were very open about it. From, like, a perspective, like, usually we don't get that info when you're looking at games and stuff. I would say the devs were very open to talking about what they were kind of working on and what needed to be fixed, and yeah, it was just kind of interesting, because it was like settings were literally locked before launch, and now some settings are like open after launch, which is kind of fascinating. But yeah, it's a storyline about 600 years of struggle. It has to do with King Arthur and the knights and Excalibur and stuff like that. And there's just like a lot of interesting depth and interesting setups you can do in terms of like battling and exploring, and it's just kind of a interesting role-playing game. I wish there were actually a lot more games like this, because as I said, like, I'm sure some people will find there to be quite a bit of dialogue, but that's kind of what a role-playing game really should have, is fleshed out characters where you could go and meet a random character at, say, a tavern and get like a story and a quest and things that you're supposed to do. And
The land of
You know,
Avalon
that I
only
find quite
toil.
intriguing, and I think
It
this game does a
soaked
good
up
job
our
of that. I also
sweat
really
and
like the
suffering
it's not
and our
sci-fi, but
blood.
the fantasy vibes,
In time
just in
it
terms of
rewarded
like these
us.
ethereal spots,
Here
and
in
there's some twists
Avalon,
and
we
turns in
were
the
given a
narrative of this
chance
one,
to create
for
great
sure. And then you get
things.
to, you know, obviously like make your own characters, some decent customization
We left the
there.
homelands to survive. The plague
Yeah,
had
no, they
consumed
really did actually
everything we
put together
once knew.
something
We
rather
thought
intriguing
we'd
gameplay
escaped it,
wise. That
but
is
the
funny, so
Red
you can
Death
run by there, but
returned
if you
like a
don't run by it
stalker
fast enough, it kind of
toward
gets,
us.
you have to actually battle the enemies, which is kind of
Once
funny.
again,
Huh.
it began to
But if you move
devour
fast enough,
our
you don't have to.
home.
That's hilarious. But I like games that give you this sort of freedom, if that makes sense. It's quite an intriguing scenario. And then you just really get to go out. We're just gonna skip that cinematic there, just in case that's some issues. We're kind of like whipping through this because I want to try to show off as much of it as possible, and I kind of did a, you know, like I've showed lots of the gameplay in other ways, so. Yeah, so wine. This thing's basically the looking of Cortana comes together. Who are you?
Am Arthur
No
Pendragon.
way! That's
I
King Arthur.
represent
So he was, yeah, it's an honor, my king.
I
What
am
is this
Isidore.
place? Blah, blah, blah. Why are you
But that's
here?
enough. After
He's sad
you
about his
must
emotional problems. He doesn't understand himself. He doesn't even know himself. He's like, what is this? What? I'll make myself. No, he's not complete. What are we gonna do? We have to help King Arthur recompile himself.
you from
He's not strong enough. Okay. So he's gonna join my mind. We're going on an adventure together. King Arthur and I. Let's do it. This cool ethereal place of blood and all that. Lots of fun. But yeah, you're constantly improving your metrics and your stats and, you know, everything like that. It's a proper role-playing experience is what it is. So if you're kind of looking for something that sort of satisfy that Elder Scrolls gap in your life, this is really cool. And that's where I was saying it would be really neat if we had more games like this come out more often. Like, obviously, these are very ambitious, like, titles. Like, this probably took a long... Well, I mean, I think it was, like, an early access thing for a while, but, like, this must have taken a long time to develop, because it is actually pretty impressive. I know people probably have different thoughts in that regard, but, like, just the scale, the different areas, the amount of depth in the quest lines and stuff, like, there actually is quite a bit going on beneath the hood on this one, which I think is pretty impressive. So, yeah, just basically if you're looking for something role-playing wise, fantasy wise, Elder Scrolls like, I think this sort of fits the bill. I'm gonna go ahead and put a bit of a save in here. That's great. I'm glad his ability is available for me to kill this giant sentinel. I am right out of stamina. I'm all out of stamina. I'm so lost without it. Okay, we got it. Go through the magical portal, and then we're gonna get out of this place. Yeah. This is the whole thing. The game's also got a really interesting mechanic that you're gonna see in a sec in regards to how you manage your leveling, your food, and all that. We'll get to that out here in the wilderness. Well, we're actually just outside of the jail, so, you know. Actually, our guy isn't even here yet. That's the second time that's happened. If you go too fast, the guy you're supposed to meet won't be here, but there's always a good guy to come and collect from over here. Yeah. Some of those outfit stuffs are better. Like, if you have certain strength in that, you can take advantage of different types of armor and everything. It's quite neat. Caradoc, there you are. Yeah, something about me being tested on, and then... No! You insta-killed me. What's this? Plot twist. So anyways, he's, the guy that saved me is here to stab me, because, you know, I guess King Arthur kind of works like Horcruxes, so... Yeah, he needed to banish everything. But we're cool.
I had to get you.
Yeah, it's like a parasite thing. Yeah, so he just killed King Arthur. That's great. We're gonna break the pieces of King Arthur. We're gonna go get Excalibur. He's gonna go do some stuff. I'm gonna make a bonfire. So that's actually what's really interesting about this game, is you can just literally place down like your own little Dark Souls fire pit anywhere you want. And look, King Arthur's still there. He's not dead yet. We're gonna have to figure out what's gonna happen here. He doesn't know why he's not here, but he's gonna give you strength and everything like that. And yeah, we're gonna figure out on a buddy quest. He doesn't pop up that often, but you know he's there. And then you can do things like you can use fuel to get special items. You can like cook. I haven't collected any food, but you know, you can rest. You can level up your attributes, your skill tree, which is actually pretty expansive. Like I said, there's a lot going on in this game. I really am. Like I'm genuinely kind of impressed by it. I think it's quite neat. At least from my experience. This is where we're going to the main world. See, I whipped through the dungeon. You can go as fast as slow as you want. If you actually look around the dungeon, there's quite a lot of stuff to gather, and quite a few characters to meet. It really depends on how fast you want to move through the game.
The sea was restless.
Then there's a story about the sea being restless, bad things happened, we got shipwrecked. I implore you, if you played this, to play through it properly and listen to everything, but the idea here was to show you the open world as fast as I could. It is actually a pretty expansive area and territory for you to enjoy. Oh, bread. Nice. I don't even think I grabbed that when I was here. Is the short sword better than what I have? Better than the dagger. 3 strength. Okay, so I'm actually better off using the weaker sword, because I don't have the strength to properly use the main sword. Because you gotta level up and stuff, right? So there it is, a majestic beach for us to explore, things to see. This looks a lot better with the visual settings kind of allowing us to push it to 4K, I gotta tell you. Because it was like, it was kind of like capped on the pro build when I was playing pre-launch, which wasn't really ideal for getting an idea of what it could do. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, this guy might actually not have been a bad dude. I think I just straight up started stabbing like a regular guy that was just living his life. That's role-playing for you. Actually, his boots are better than what I have. Well, we all make choices in life, but I chose to stab that guy a bunch. He's just working the mines, living his best life, or averagest life. Uh-oh, it's the undead. Oh, we can't save either, that's not good. You get cool things, you can like dodge if you want, you just gotta manage the stamina system. But I think you really do... Wait, no, I wanted to use the King Arthur ability, not the bestiary. There we go. I need my slow motion attack so I can whip through these guys. Pretty sweet, eh? And then there's lots of things you can collect, like money and that, and then you can gather other things from them, like monster blood, and you can use that to basically, like, craft and... Yeah, lots of neat stuff in this game, honestly. Like, it's quite an intriguing and expansive package. And I think you'll be a little surprised by what it has to offer, find it kind of interesting, and... What is that over there? Like a dragon thing? Oh, cool. I don't even know if I saw that last time. Anyways, certainly worth a look if this is sort of the game type that intrigues you. I just always look for fun fantasy role-playing games like this, and, you know, typically get a whole lot of them, which is a bit of a shame, at least not in the, I guess you would say, AA to, like, indie space, right? it's very ambitious, and they've done a lot of updating to make it better.